What do drive and motivation have in common with happiness? Besides making us feel good to wake up every day, there is something else. That we look for it in all corners, but really it's in each and every one of us this whole time. We are repeatedly looking for external ways to find drive, to find motivation, but those two things have actually a lot more to do with chemistry in us than they have to do with anything on the outside. The main driver of motivation and drive is a chemical called dopamine. Now, what is dopamine and why is it so dope? Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, which means it's a chemical that sends messages in our brain. We make it ourselves, and it's released in our brain whenever something feels good to us. It's released when we receive a reward, such as food, sex, video games, all the usual things that make us feel good. It's what lets us know that we should keep repeating this. We also release dopamine when we anticipate a reward. Let's say you had a little breakthrough, you're getting closer, or you know that something that is super awesome is coming up right away. It's the driver that keeps us moving forward in our pursuit when we feel like we're on the right path. It's kind of like a bit of a chemical compass. It lets you know it's onwards and that away. It's kind of like our house brand of happiness. The power is within you, like it literally is, and every time you release dopamine, you're getting high off of your own supply. The really cool and important thing is that we actually release more dopamine when we are in pursuit of our reward, aka the anticipation, than when we actually receive the reward. The anticipation can be so great, we even feel a little bit let down when we actually get to the reward that we've been seeking. Think back to any long-awaited event or purchase you get so excited you're preparing for. You're building up this event of how great it's going to be and you just can't wait to get there. But when you actually arrive, it doesn't feel as awesome as you imagined it. This is how powerful anticipation is, and this is all due to dopamine release. There is a small problem with dopamine, however, it's that it's very generic. It will be released whenever there's something that is deemed as feeling good, with a much higher preference on whatever feels good right now and whatever is easy versus what will feel good later and requires more effort. Unfortunately for us, many of our unwanted habits fall into that criteria, is that they feel good right now, they don't require a lot of effort. Whether it be being attached to your phone, eating junk food, watching TV or porn, or shopping, playing video games, they all have that aspect in common, which is that they pose the same problem for us. If you look around you, there are more than enough sources of dopamine stimulation nowadays for us. The most extreme version of that becomes addiction. It doesn't matter what the addiction is, the cycle is the same. The reason our bad habits tend to be so addicting is that many of them are man-made. They're actually designed to be that way on purpose. Video games are designed to keep you engaged and keep you coming back for more. All of our delicious faves on the menu are designed to taste delicious and set off this explosion of dopamine in your head. In comparison to kale or carrots, you might like the first few bites, but it quickly loses its allure. And let's not even begin about any kind of hard mental work like studying or working on whatever project you're supposed to be working on. You will probably never feel any cravings to do that. The amount of dopamine released for that is barely enough to give you the will to even get through it. It's not really any fun at all for us. So if we know that dopamine is responsible for us feeling good and our drive to continue on, but we also know that the good habits are barely making it on that radar, how are we supposed to use this information to help us get better? 2 ways, grasshopper, 2 ways. One of them is make it feel good. The reason this fact is important is that when it comes to habits, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, in order for us to continue on to do it, it has to feel good in some way, at least in the moment. If it doesn't feel good, we're not going to be doing it. So many of the habits that we want to pick up that are good for us are really great long term, but they may not really feel that great right away. The payouts are a lot further down the road, which in our brain isn't really that great of a deal. Also, one of the reasons we tend to have problems continuing on with our well-intentioned habit. It can take a while to see that progress. So how do you do that? Find small ways to reward yourself for doing a good habit right away. It doesn't have to be anything wild. It could be something as simple as a yay every time you get the job done. You'll start to associate that habit with feeling good. I also made a video on how to reward yourself without a setback. You can check that one out if you need more ideas on that. The second way is to build anticipation. Dopamine is great for making us feel awesome in the moment, yes, but it's also a key player in providing us with the drive to continue on. This could be in the pursuit of the goal that is ahead of us right now, but even more so for any larger scale things that are beyond the immediate goal. As you may be aware of already, the road to any kind of success is a very bumpy one, so any advantage that you can stack in your corner will make it just a touch easier. So knowing that there is a bit of a science and chemistry behind keeping that drive going is great, because now we can focus on how to keep tapping into that resource to get us to where we want to be going. So how do we build anticipation? We do this by focusing on enjoying the journey. If you think about building up the excitement that you have towards something that you're looking forward to, involves a lot of small rewards along the way before you actually get there. A small step in the right direction, and then you step back and like plug it into the big picture, and you're just getting excited because like things are coming together just like you hoped. It's working on something up close and then stepping away from it to admire it before getting back to it close again and working on it. In order to truly succeed long-term, you're gonna have to find a way to find pleasure in that journey, and that's the process of mastery. A few ways that you can do that is to reward yourself for the steps that were really hard for you to do, but you've managed to do. Not just rewarding yourself for stuff that was easy or the steps that only led to some kind of results that you wanted. Focus on improvements and rewarding that. I also made another video addressing this a little bit further on how to measure progress. This one goes a lot further into what you can focus on and how you can find the process more rewarding. There are a few ideas on how you can stoke the fires of your own drive and motivation. The thing is that there isn't going to be one thing, and you're going to have to keep looking for ways to reward yourself and keep looking and working on that drive. It's going to be a practice. There's not going to be one way that's going to work perfectly and for everybody, and whatever solution you do find won't do the job forever either. I personally find it very encouraging to know that there are things that we can do to help ourselves, and that there is like a bit of a method to the madness, instead of just feeling like we are at the mercy of whether or not the mood is striking us, or like whether we are dealt the right cards. So what are the ways in which you keep your drive going? Share your comments below.